With the classification. And in classification, what we do know, what is more primitive and more advanced. For example, if we see a leaf, we see a simple leaf, the one I talked to you, the lanceolate, and this is going like. At the same time, when you go into the forest, you find a leaf which is compound. It's a simple and compound. And there you find the leaflet are showing this way. And then you this may be further divided. Anyway, now, which one will you take as a primitive? This one or this one? So for doing this, you will draw it. You also find sometimes the leaves have got divided along the margin and it goes up this way. And what we do find are the leaf which appears this way. So this is one stage of the transition which makes it the older to the advanced. And then when it divides into the further variation pattern, it comes out to this. So we take this is simple, is more primitive, and then it moves like this, and the compound is advanced. And this is what we do require to know, which is more primitive and more this. And I must tell you, earlier I told to you, there are different features. Now we come to the next one. When we do see a flower, we see, as I told you, about the symmetrical flower. And the symmetrical flower is what we call it actinomorphic. Well, I just draw it like this, and there. So when we divide this is symmetrical, and it can be divided into all equal halves. So this is one here. But if we see a flower of orchid, we find the flower has got the labellum structure and it is forming this and then this feature, and it come out to be more complicated. So this is simple flower, or you can say the actinomorphic, and then it goes into what we call it zygomorphic. Zygomorphic, which can be divided into one plane but not in further plane like this. So this is what we do say, this is from more primitive than to the simple. And this is what is some of the principles of the classification. And then again what we do see, when we cut a section of a pistil, we find it, and there is one ovule at the base, and it goes into, and in another case, in the presentation, we find it, there are several of them. So this goes like this. When we cut the section of this becomes a kind of the axillary. I've shown you the structure on my 21st August lecture. There you find this is like this. But what happens in some other cases, we may find, and now, so for example, in the latest finger or bindi, you do see there are angular like this, and it's a case of simple case, or lemon, you find this feature, and then the ovules are there. So this is axile presentation. But when we go to the next stage, we may find these all carpels are separate. This is what we do find the ovule at the base, and then becomes like this. So it is considered that although it appears like this, but this is more primitive, we call it apocarpus condition, and then comes the axile, and then comes this feature, or maybe may not be there, epibasal, or this is what we find in monocots. So this is what I just want to tell you, in the classification, we have to see the differences how it comes up. So what was this? The another one, you find a leaf which has got a reticulate venation. So you find it here, and the venations coming up like this. Well, main midrib, and then it is further divided, and in the subsequent one you will find the leaves are there, but the venations are all parallel. So you'll find, so whether it's banana or orchid leaf or dioscorea, and this is what is, you also find sometimes this one, when we do see a flower, we see when we cut a section of a pistil,